Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be using my scraps to make a whole bunch of little embellishments so that I can decorate all kinds of things. So stay tuned. So here are all the scraps that I have been saving from this paper collection that I had from close to my heart. I believe it was called Daisy Daisy. It's actually one of my favorites. So I used all my scraps and put together a couple of different little things. And what I want to do is create some embellishments that I can use to decorate these different things that I'm making with these scraps. So let me go over some things that I'm going to need. I'm first going to need this scallop punch because it's going to serve as cutting out the scallop circles for my base. So I definitely need this first. Secondly, I'm going to need a large flower and a small flower. And so I'm also going to need a leaf, a large leaf, and maybe a smaller leaf. I also pulled out this stamp set because it has several different sentiments that can go for many different occasions. They're perfect for junk journaling, for bookmarks, for cards, which is exactly what I want to do. I'm going to put each one of these on each one of the clusters that I make. I've also pulled out some foam tape because I want to create some dimension with each of the clusters. And let's see here, I definitely need some small scissors, so in case I need to fussy cut anything out if my stamp does not have a die with it. And lastly, I need some glue. I think that's about everything that I need in order to build my cluster, so hopefully you can grab those things if you want to make some clusters with me. Okay, so off camera, I went ahead and prepared several different things. I'm choosing this dark green cardstock that's actually two-toned, and I'm going to use that as my base. So I roughly cut about or punched about 20 of these circles. They're going to serve as my base. Next, I also stamped and cut out about 20 of these large flowers and 20 of the small flowers, and I did do them in two different pinks, two different inks. These same thing with these leaves. I did them in two different greens, a lighter green and a darker green shade. I think that it's important to use the two different colors of ink because it's going to really create some dimension and it's really going to look nicely on top of these bases. And then, of course, I stamped and fussy cut several different sentiments. I made a wide variety because I wasn't quite sure which ones would look the best or which ones I would need. And so I believe I have all of the pieces ready for me to build my clusters. So I am ready. So let's get started. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to just spread out all of my circles, and I'm going to start with this many first. I did forget to mention there is one other step that I like to do for these sentiments. Because I'm going to be popping them up, I do want to make sure I ink the edges just so they create some depth between the base and then the top of the top of the cluster there. So that was one other thing that I have. Okay, so once I lay all of these out, the next thing I do is I'm going to take the flowers and just go ahead and lay them. I know each one is going to have a flower here. Okay, I'll start with that for now. And then next I'm going to add a smaller flower to each one. And so, but what I'm doing is I'm just laying everything out so that I don't have to go back and find things as I'm creating the clusters, because I actually like to do these pretty quickly and they will go really quickly if I know that I have everything ready to go. And then also it gives me the opportunity to see if perhaps I didn't stamp enough, then I can go back and stamp that so that I can be prepared. And there's my last little flower here. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to give everybody a double stamp. And of course, I just wanted also say that if you do have a little stamp that perhaps didn't, stamp all the way, it's okay. It's going to be tucked in there, and we don't want to waste anything. So we can easily just cover that up. And then I kind of changed my mind a little bit about these little ones. But since I have some of them already stamped, I am going to go ahead and use those. And then for the ones that I don't have, I'm just going to add a double one. Because I think they're just a little too small, and they kind of really need two. So let's see. Two there. That's two. Okay, I think everyone has, so that one doesn't. Okay, I think now everything has two. All right, now I choose a sentiment for each one. And I did choose a different sentiment for each cluster. Depending on how big the little sentiment is how we're going to arrange the flowers around the cluster here. Okay. Let's see. Do another little, actually, you know what? Let's do some thank yous so that I can maybe use a couple of, some of these for cards. So let's do 3 of these as thank yous, and that way I can make thank you cards for those. Okay, so now that I have everything laid out, I will just go ahead and play some music at this point, and let me just build the clusters. Okay, now all of my clusters are finished, and what I did off camera was I created these bookmarks using the scraps that I had. So basically I just take a little scrap like this, tear off one side of the scrap paper, and then I start from the top and then just build a section going all the way down, alternating the colors, always tearing up the top so that they will lay on top of each other so you can kind of see that. So that's what I did with all these little bookmarks, and I have quite a few of them. I was able to make several, and then basically I just take the clusters that I made and they are ready to go right on the bookmark. The next thing that I was able to make using the scraps are these tags. And basically I took my scraps, and some I had a full sheet and some I used 1-inch strips to create those tags and decorated those. And then the last 3 pieces I have are these card bases that I created using the same method of creating strips or using strips of paper. And then the clusters that I made that say thank you are for these 3 thank you cards that I have created. Okay, so for a few of the finishing touches, I just want to add some ribbon to these bookmarks, of which I'm just going to cut a small piece, add ribbon, and then add a piece of twine. And so basically that's it. I made a little over 20 different clusters so that I was able to make the bookmarks and all the tags and then the 3 thank you cards. But thank you so much for making clusters with me today. I hope that you enjoyed this video and it gave you some inspiration. I also hope that you will like and subscribe if you haven't already, and have a great crafty day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.